So welcome all to this second set of breakouts and breakout number 3, which is all about awareness in climate-related careers and green opportunities. And so the way we're going to work this session is we actually have a few panelists that we're going to hear from briefly as they kind of describe the work that they're doing to support career awareness in this space and others from kind of a national interstate level, as well as a state level in Pennsylvania, and then a local level in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. So I wanted to share my screen really quickly as we kick this thing off. And I'll just say, I think you are taking notes on here, so thank you very much. And if you don't mind, dropping in the links to the note document, and then there's also an associated Padlet link there. And if you don't get to it, I can do that in a second as well. So I just want to tee that up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can all see the same thing. Share, but I don't want to share that. I want to share this and this. Okay, can folks see my screen, hopefully? Sound good if I get a thumbs up? Okay, thank you.
All good.
All right, wonderful. So again, this whole afternoon breakout is really about how do we support students in middle and high school connecting, and elementary school, into connecting with the careers and the opportunities to address and solve and some of the challenges related to a changing climate. What are the disciplines that are important? What are the skills and competencies that are important in this place? And really, I mean, I think we heard about it in Laura's talk, like how do we harness their interests, the students' interests, and their abilities towards these future careers and towards these opportunities. And like with the earlier sessions, we do want to center our conversation here and really after some quick bits from the panelists, like this is hopefully a discussion. And we do want to center that conversation about like what can we do within our respective realms to build career awareness and better connect students with this wonderful diversity of jobs and opportunities that exist out there. And then how do we ensure it's done equitably, as well as kind of monitor that and hold what accountability structures are in place to support that. And then how can we advance this work using existing current funding opportunities. So just keep those just in your mind as we're cruising through some of this. So logistically, there is a Padlet. And if you don't mind, we'll put the Padlet link in the chat if it's not already. It might already be. And yeah, thank you. And thank you, Pri. And then we'll also add the notes thing so you can tag in on that. But the idea is any responses that you have or that come up, you'll be able to kind of record those within the Padlet. And then we'll also give you some access to a notes document as well. And so Pri will hopefully share that with you all, and then we'll use the chat to ask questions, share resources, and respond to any questions that you might have to or for the panel. Does that all sound reasonable? See a thumb up or two, head nods. All right, cool. So with that, I wanted to introduce our panel really quickly, and then as we kind of break into those quick presentations, feel free to dig a little deeper. But Brittany Jayro hails from the Gulf Coast in New Orleans and works with EcoRise, which is a partner of NOAA's and others, right, that is supporting career awareness programming as well as other stuff. Laura Frederici works for the PA Department of Education and supporting STEM and career work. And Tammy Dietrich works in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and works on that local level to support career and technical education, STEM and career work. So with that, let's just spend a couple minutes learning about some of the landscape, big picture ideas of how folks are working through some of this career awareness pieces. So with that, I was going to turn it over to Brittany.
Great, thanks. And Bart, I'll just let you know when to head to the next slide, but we can stick here for a moment. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brittany J. Rowe, and I'm a program director for EcoRise. We are an environmental education nonprofit dedicated to mobilizing a new generation of leaders to design healthy, just, and thriving communities for all. Prior to joining EcoRise, I was a classroom teacher myself. I taught middle and high school civics and U.S. history at a school for sustainability, bridging some gaps in content as they related to the different pillars of sustainability, specifically environmental, social, and the economic factors. I'm thrilled to be here today to share how EcoRise is working to build career awareness to support the green economy. I'm going to share with you about our Building a Green Texas project, which is representative of how we engage our school communities nationally in learning about sustainability, green building, and allied careers. We can go to the next slide. Our mission at EcoRise is to inspire a new generation of sustainability leaders, supporting students in addressing global environmental challenges in areas from water to food systems to energy, through school-based design projects and internship opportunities rooted in building awareness of the impact of the 3 pillars of sustainability. And essentially, we believe that in order to build career awareness, we must first build what we call sustainable intelligence. And that's an understanding of our stakeholders and the needs, which then supports students in exploring career fields aligned with passions that are sparked through our programming. We support 5,000 teachers across the country, and that's almost 300,000 students right now with these different programs that you see here on the screen. And go to the next slide. Our Green Building Academy is one example of programming that fosters this sustainable intelligence, as well as sustainability and allied career explorations. In 2017, we launched our Green Building Academy, which is a rigorous workforce development program aimed at creating pathways for students to careers in green fields. The program was piloted in Massachusetts with 5 schools, mostly in urban and vocational programs, and we've since expanded to New York City, DC, Texas, and California. And the program provides year-long in-school programming in green building practices, introducing students to topics like regenerative design and heat mapping and associated environmental justice factors. And as a part of the program, students are also prepared to take the LEED Green Associate exam, which makes them among the first high school students in the country to have access to the professional credential. Next slide, please. And so this brings me to our latest iteration of the Green Building Academy, which is the Building a Green Texas project. Our project was selected for a NOAA Education Environmental Literacy Grant this year to help tackle some big issues in the environmental education space. And the Building a Green Texas project, which I will now call BGT, provides high school students with opportunities to develop the knowledge, skills, and confidence to tackle challenges posed by climate change. Through the project, students will gain valuable green career skills and credentials and become part of a green building pathway that will help contribute to a more diverse workforce. EcoRise, the University of Texas at Austin, and the University of Texas Marine Science Institute leads this project, which is a 3-year project that began last fall. And through school year field experiences, paid summer internships, students in the program will use established scientific evidence, citizen science, and an understanding of location-specific socioeconomic and ecological factors to explore current and future extreme weather phenomena and other environmental hazards facing their communities. Next. And the objective is to increase high school students' knowledge, skills, and confidence in reasoning about the ways that human and natural systems interact. And we want to support student empowerment by providing them with active learning experiences and career exposure via direct engagement with scientists, civic leaders, green building professionals, and opportunities to help design community-based green building projects that strengthen community resilience. And it's it will also address the need for a more diverse workforce that is working to improve community resilience and create a green building pathway to increase underrepresented students' exposure and access to green careers. And this is just a mock-up of how we're looking to expand over the 3 years. You can move to the next slide. This takes us to our field experiences. This year with BGT, we hosted 2 all-day school year virtual field experiences for students at our participating schools in Texas. During the first event, students spent the day virtually exploring urban heat islands in Austin and learning about the types and origins of buildings, their materials, their connection with climate stability. And we had volunteers from the city, from the university, and from some consulting firms join to support them in the journey. Next. At our most recent event in March, we explored smart growth and environmental justice and design considerations for public spaces, and we focused on the built environment through the lens of stadiums with guest speakers and green professionals, which included a career spotlight, something that we are working on building out for all of our students K through 12, which in this particular one was an architect and designer at a local design firm sharing his pathway to the career, highlighting his educational requirements, a day in the life, his salary, and so forth. And he also took students on an incredible tour of the stadium that you see, which is the new Austin Football Club Stadium in Austin. It's a soccer stadium. Next. And to carry over the learning, EcoRise has a paid summer internship program. And this summer, we will be hosting our second iteration with 15 green building high school students in Texas and Massachusetts. And we're also hosting our first summer of 2 additional internships that are focused on city climate adaptation plans, advocacy, and policy. So really getting students to dig into their communities. And this is our last summer's cohort of wonderful students. And one thing I'd like to note is that there is a stubborn and very persistent diversity gap in great careers when it comes to BIPOC communities and women. And we believe that this is due to a combination of factors, including lack of exposure and lack of preparation. And we're working on both fronts, prioritizing increasing access to green careers for underrepresented students. And explicit attention to diversity, equity, and inclusion really increases the potential of our internships to improve the representation of students of color and females within these green building professions. Next, I just want to show you a few photos of students interacting with SiteBased Experiences. We had students last year at a Mexican American Cultural Center. Next, doing lunch and learns with local construction firms and design firms. Next. We also provided virtual experiences where students are able to participate in a guest speaker series from great professionals from across the country to learn about their careers, their projects they're working on, and how they got to where they are. And finally, I'd just like to end with this sentiment. It's a long quote, but I'll read it and you can kind of follow along. This is from one of our interns. She said, "My experience with the Green Building Internship Program is outstanding. All of the goals I had going into the internship, I accomplished. I met several professionals and I got to hear from them about their passion, profession, and pathway, which will resonate with me beyond the conclusion of the internship. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have received such a great experience." And this student, after participating in our internship program twice, she changed her major at the university level, and now she's doing environmental engineering to continue this work. And I'll stop there. Thank you. Bart, you're muted.
Thank you, Brittany, and thanks for laying this out. And thanks for letting me know that I was muted. So we're going to turn over to Laura now and take a look at a little bit under the hood about how Pennsylvania is working to support career awareness within the state. So with that, I'll pass it over to Laura.
Thank you, Bart, and thank you, Brittany, for that transition with the internships and work-based learning. So I'm going to scale it way back to our little kiddies starting in kindergarten. So taking this at a really high level, I think it's essentially in our backpack logo there. What's in your backpack? So when you graduate from high school in Pennsylvania, before you embark on green careers and experiences, we really gauge it with student engagement and artifacts in a career portfolio. So tangible evidence that shows they have participated in meaningful activities from kindergarten through 11, accompanied by authentic learning, hands-on learning and employability skills that you need in any career, especially the green careers, critical thinking, communication, teamwork, adaptability, and many others. All of this, it's really important to pull together the whole state and really brand and build the connection. So when you see there in the bottom left-hand corner, hashtag Career Ready PA is the opportunity to share what schools are doing, what students are doing in a broad network that you see in the map to the right called the Career Ready PA regions. So those are 10 regions in our state that align to the Department of Community and Economic Development prep regions, which really are geared for that economic performance, the idea of traveling, working, recreation, and not limited by your school district boundary. So in each of those 10 regions, we have a support called a Career Ready PA liaison. That person is an intermediate unit contact who is able to connect work-based learning, career awareness activities to support that engagement. So with the many partners in Pennsylvania, all the champions around career and workforce readiness, whether it's STEM, post-secondary employers, those companies that are already establishing those green careers and need to build the pathway, we need to build the connections to do that. So it starts really with our kindergarten. And next screen. So what's in your backpack? Well, what's in your backpack is that evidence that is tied to the career education and work standards. So in 2006, the Pennsylvania State Board of Education established these standards. These are academic standards and what kids need to know in these 4 areas. Before you can have a career, in any career, you have to be aware of all the careers. And how do you get a job? How do you have career acquisition? And how do you keep that job and advance in the job and work together as a team? And perhaps you are more interested in a social engagement or a business that's going to support society in any type of service. So that backpack, that portfolio that the students gather must contain evidence that is anchored on these 4 career education work standards. Next slide. And what that essentially means, the career standards benchmark is part of 3 major buckets in what we call Future Ready PA Index, which is the school performance measurement. And so it's on academic progress, which we're all familiar with, on-track measures, and then college and career measures. So this is what's going to prepare the students. By the end of grade 5, they have to demonstrate that engagement, as I said, aligned to the standards and collect those pieces of evidence. So by grade 5, they should have 6 meaningful activities with a tangible piece of evidence in their portfolio. That is a federal indicator. So it's not something that's an option for students in Pennsylvania. You treasure what you measure, and we measure career readiness. And by grade 8, again, it's the percentage of students who create an individualized career plan. That career plan shows their interest area, courses and career pathways they may be interested in, so they can start to engage in more career exploration and work-based learning by the time they get to their senior year. And then finally, in grade 11, those 3 benchmarks, 5, 8, and 11, they should have 8 pieces of evidence that show implementation of that career plan. So if a student was interested, they wouldn't even really know if they were interested in a green career yet by grade 11, unless they've had some of those authentic experiences that begin in kindergarten with hands-on learning. Next slide. Oh, okay, sorry, I'm going back. I know I cut down my presentation because I wanted to keep it kind of at a high level. So one of the key things that we had this year, an active engagement, was through that model, that map, that coalition, we were able to STEM partners, a nonprofit out of Western Pennsylvania called Remake Learning, in a hands-on festival around the state. And in that, there was authentic learning experiences, that emphasized student voice, STEM, any activity in which those participating were able to provide a digital artifact and received a badge at the end that showed for authentic engagement. So really how we look at building from K through 11 to get to those points of work-based learning later in their high school career, you really have to build the opportunities to engage accompanied by authentic hands-on learning and employability skills, and which in any career is a necessary piece of that. So that's a little bit about how we do it.
Awesome. Thank you. And that state perspective, like in kind of putting together this session, one of the really cool things that I learned about was those, Pennsylvania, the portfolios that the students are building to connect to, these career opportunities and kind of describe these opportunities. And one of the other really cool things is how, it's not universal across the state, right? Different regions in Pennsylvania have different needs and different perspectives.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of a cool thing that happens in some of these spaces, is that it's tailored towards what's locally relevant.
Sure.
And,
yeah, because if you're living in the northern tier, there's different industries there than there might be in Southeast Pennsylvania or in Western PA. So based on regional needs aligned to workforce, our learners are prepared, all our learners are prepared to build on that career pathway.
Awesome. So thank you, Laura. And so with that, I want to pivot to Tracy, or Tammy, I'm sorry, Tammy, who works in the local school district in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, to kind of tell a little bit about their story as well.
Right, great. Well, thank you, Laura, because that was a perfect segue, talking about the importance of career awareness and building those workforce skills in order to do whatever students want to do beyond high school. And so we work really hard to create those opportunities, not only for students to have awareness of careers, but awareness of self, because they have to understand what their strengths are and what their abilities are, and then how does that tie to a career. And so helping them to see those things through different career expos, career panels, and then we found this wonderful new tool this year called NEPRIS, which gives students access to 30,000 different business partners in their classroom in a virtual setting. So you can see I just pulled up a couple of those different career chats they could look at and just see what is a day in the life of an environmental engineer, because it's difficult for them, and we all know students, it's really hard for them to understand what something is. They have this very glorified idea of what it is that they want to do in a career, but giving them opportunity to see what that's really about helps them to make some decisions and find some passions as they move through high school. I have some experience with that personally, with a daughter who thought she wanted to be a research engineer, and then after doing some career research and an internship, actually went in and got a degree in environmental science, and now has her master's in public administration and trying to affect some change. So it was exciting to watch that unfold in my own household as well. Next slide, please. So in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, there are a lot of different ways that we're trying to create and build career awareness. We have a unique system or program within our school systems called signature programs, and we have 13 different high schools, and each of these high schools has a signature, and that's a workforce theme that runs throughout the high school, and that is developed using information from the local business community, from parents, from nonprofits, from the school system itself, and they look within that community and they have a lot of meetings and discussions to determine what is the theme of that local area. And one of our schools happens to have a theme of environmental literacy, and that would be Broadneck High School in Annapolis, and their whole school revolves around this theme, and you're going to see how that works in just a few moments. we have our STEM programs that really focus on green technologies, and there's a pathway for students to follow within STEM. And then in our career and technology education programs, we have our environmental resource management programs. So students throughout the county have an opportunity to get involved in different programs where their passion is, whether it's in their own high school, whether it's in a magnet center or in our career and technical education center. They're able to go into different programs. Our integrated community stakeholders team, if you could just go back for a second, please. That team is all about the business community, and each school, each signature has this team, and a school has a signature facilitator that creates opportunities for these business partners to meet with students to help to drive curriculum. And so we really value our business partnerships. Other ways businesses and organizations are involved are through guest speakers, through curriculum overlay. So we actually invite the business community to help us to infuse curriculum into our classrooms, whether it's math, whether it's science, English, or environmental science courses that relates to that school's theme. And then professional development for teachers. So all teachers in the school are able to speak to the theme of the school. Clubs and competitions, our environmental summit, and then an environmental literacy film festival. And again, giving students an ability to tap into their passions and different ways that they can get involved. Next slide, please. And then going beyond the school walls. And this is really where it really all comes to life, and where we're taking students outside and doing those field experiences. And we're so lucky to have such a rich business community and a lot of folks who put a lot of time and energy into our school system to help our students to learn through those field experiences, through field trips. We do something called a community challenge. So it's a 1 semester course where a business partner can bring a challenge to a student. A couple of years ago, we had someone that worked in a marina, and they were concerned because the plastic that's used to shrink wrap boats is not recyclable. It's a lot of plastic. So they brought that challenge to students, and the students did some research, and they worked with the mentor, and they came up with some ideas of what could be done to help to solve that problem. And so each semester we invite business partners to bring a challenge to students and help to mentor them. And they learn a lot about different careers, but they also learn problem solving skills and communication skills. So that's a really wonderful activity. Through service learning, getting involved in the community, volunteering and helping. Our local community college is a big part of our school system. So our schools are building pathways for students so they can begin college while they're still in high school. Those courses are taught within our high school classrooms, as well as students going out to Anne Arundel Community College. We have several programs where students receive a certificate from the college before they ever graduate from high school. Again, another way of making those connections. Career panels. And then my big part are the internship opportunities. And you can see some pictures of students out and doing all of the wonderful things in an internship. And this is where, they go out into these different organizations and they learn about careers that they didn't even realize exist. And they get in there and they see somebody doing something very cool, and it ignites a passion. We have about 1,300 students each year that do an internship opportunity in our local business community. Some are paid, some are unpaid, and we're excited to launch this coming school year our apprenticeship program, which is going to be a little bit more in depth of an internship opportunity, but really give students a pathway to move directly into that career beyond high school. And so that's just a quick overview of what we're doing in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, but I can say none of this would happen without the rich community that supports our school system and provides all these great opportunities for our students.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tammy. And so just laying kind of some of that groundwork initially, right, about like how things are happening across state lines, within whole states and locally. I mean, there's a couple things that pop in my mind, like, the key partnerships with industry that are connected to whatever that local need is. Folks being able to see themselves in these jobs, whether that's through early career awareness that starts in kindergarten, where you see people that look like you doing these jobs that might inspire you down the road. And then, and then providing opportunities actually for students to explore some of these things is key. So internships, I think we heard as being a key piece of that career awareness thing. So, I think you all might have seen the message come across from Krista, and we have roughly, 15 minutes for discussion. And there were 3 questions that we wanted to try and discuss quickly and, or just discuss. And the first one, I'll put it into the chat here, is all about like, what can we do within our spheres of influence? So all of y'all and Tammy and Brittany and Laura, like what can we do to build career awareness around those climate related careers that will support that green economy for both college students and those that are not tracked towards college. So what are some ideas that might exist out there for, I think we heard a lot about career awareness, but like specific to these opportunities.
I can chime in. Recently, actually, it was this week, the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture and Department of Education held an event at a local farmers market. And it was really geared to very young children and opportunities, again, with that authentic learning, where they are getting that hands-on activity. And I think the other piece of it, and you take it to the broader range, is really a strategic coalition of cross-sector collaboration. And we're doing that in Pennsylvania also, where we really do have champions in the state who are already providing career and work-based learning opportunities. And within that framework, they are geared to the green pathways, whether you're in agriculture and energy, because it's just evolving at this point. So it's a continual strategic sharing. We meet, we have work groups that meet monthly that talk about credentials and opportunities and how we can work together, whether you're an employer or post-secondary, to really build the pathways through, whether it's stackable credentials, through experiences in the classroom. And actually the pandemic world of virtual activity has been a real plus to include more opportunities, not only for educators, but for students to learn. And as we heard NEPRIS earlier, or opportunities with festivals and career activities like that, where kids can actually watch a ranger talk about, streams and be part of that and include that experience in their portfolio. So we've done it really through stakeholder engagement, because it's key to make those connections with the schools and all the stakeholders.
Cool. Thank you, Laura.
I also believe making it key with the teachers. So externships for teachers, getting them out to do some of these field experiences, because they have those students in their classroom every day. And when they're able to get students excited and talk about different career opportunities, so summer externship opportunities would be great for teachers.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. I don't know, like one of the things I noticed in the video that we played, I think right at the start of this section, from a school in Prince George's County, they were out doing some water sampling, and she just made the comment, like, this is a job, like this is work that people do, which helps connect maybe some of those early age students to some of the awareness opportunities, career opportunities. Brittany, did you want to add anything in the space, or anybody else? I thought I saw a hand as well at one point.
I had a hand up, Bart. I'm sorry, I'm not on camera. I'm having issues with my internet. I'll try to get that to work. And it's entirely possible that this experience was just an issue in the school district we're in, but I would like to see more opportunities for students to get some credit for either job shadowing, which it feels like that was a bigger opportunity before, at least in Northwestern Pennsylvania. Those opportunities have decreased for the students here. So job shadowing or actual work experience, it would be nice if students could get some credit for those.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. Brittany, in your program, do you all offer credit to students when they are doing those job shadowing internship opportunities?
We don't, but we do encourage teachers with some of the other programs that we work on, our Sustainable Intelligence Program, for instance, which is just a broad environmental literacy program for K through 12, or sometimes pre-K through 12 for those really intrepid teachers. We encourage them to find ways to give their students additional credit for engaging in an eco audit, where they go around and investigate some sort of maybe environmental challenge on their campus, or giving them extra credit if they would like to apply for a grant from EcoRise. We have a small micro grant fund that is for students. It's student driven and student written, especially at the high school level, frequently at the middle school level. If you don't have the capacity as a teacher, we encourage give it to your kids. It's set up for them to be able to do it on their own, and if they submit one, then could that not be classroom credit for a different type of assignment or extra credit, because kids are always looking for that. But no, we don't offer credit specifically for that, but are open to working with schools and districts on figuring out how to best motivate and then also sort of, I guess, maybe reward in a way students engaging in those opportunities for themselves.
Yeah,
Bart,
and another.
I can
Oh, sorry.
I can add that Pennsylvania is giving credit. I didn't mention the other indicator. I focused on the portfolio, but we are giving credit for the industry-based learning indicator, one of the college and career measures. So experiences between the grades of 7 and grade 12 in either attaining an industry credential or one of many work-based learning experiences, including mentoring, internships, service learning, co-op, job shadows, and so on. So as Barbara had said, it's been more challenging in this virtual year. So there's been a way to pivot that. There's been a way to pivot it that, some of your mentoring experiences tied to your career plan can sometimes qualify. And we tried to work with that a little bit and, work with the hours on that. But many of our schools are taking advantage of it, and they do get credit on our school performance measure. So we are very excited about those work-based learning opportunities, because that is really where we do make that connection.
And you're right. If it's not measured, it's not treasured. It's one of those things. I think I saw Frank Neopold's hand, and then Frank from Capon. So Frank, do you mind?
Thanks, Bart. I'll be brief. One of the things that I think in this work, when you connect the career aspect and the climate aspect, is the totality of new careers or changed careers in addressing this. And because the job trends that are going on right now are going to be fundamentally changed as we start moving into a society-wide comprehensive approach to climate change. We're talking about transportation, agriculture, living, buildings, energy. I mean, it's the amount of activity here is gargantuan. It's not trivial stuff. And so this is an all of society, all of careers kind of level of activity. And we're just not operating that way right now. So I'm going to put a link in the Padlet about, I think the best one I've seen is the Project Drawdown Solutions Framework, because they've got the biggest look at this right now. And I think it might give access to the totality of what we're talking about. I find, when we talk about this, a lot of times we think of like, oh, solar installer. It's way beyond that. But, until we actually start mapping it and seeing how our career pathways are lining up to this and what's missing, then I think we have some more work to do as a community.
Awesome. Thank you, Frank. Frank Kakipon from Kakipon.
Thanks, Bart. First, I'd like to put a plug in for urban forestry. If you're not thinking about that as a career, every single business, nonprofit organization I know is growing. And then for the panel, I have a two-part question. How do you recruit the businesses? And how are they vetted? How do you know that the program is actually educational for the student before you?
So in Anne Arundel County, we have I have a team of 12 internship facilitators. We have our signature program facilitators. So we are at Chambers of Commerce, Rotary, our workforce development, our economic development board, and we're in front of every space that'll listen to us about our students and our programs. And then we personally visit any program that's going to offer an opportunity to our students. And we have a checklist that we go through, and we talk, we have a guide that we've developed, a business guide for a successful internship, and it walks business partners through how to choose an intern, how to choose their mentor for their intern, how to do an onboarding or an orientation. And so really setting them up for success and supporting the business partner is key in a successful partnership with them.
Oh, good question, Frank. Thank you. I know we're getting close on time, and there's two other questions that they wanted us to kind of look at really quickly. And you know, these are both in the Padlet as well, but I'll put them in the chat and just see if anybody does have any responses to either one of these questions or ideas around this. So the one is, these are ones that you might have seen before, like, so how can we do this equitably and have accountability structures in place to kind of make sure that the awareness about opportunities, especially in this climate green space, like the big suite of things that are part of these opportunities that Frank described, how can we do that in an equitable manner? And then also the funding that's available. Like, are you aware of specific opportunities in funding to support this work on that state or local level? So Tristan, I saw your hand pop up.
Yeah, this was a question I had specifically for Brittany. She mentioned targeting the internships with BIPOC and female students. And I was wondering how that was happening. Is it the certain schools that you're reaching out to, or are you reaching out to the students individually? What does that process look like?
Sure. The majority of the schools that we work with schools all over the country, a variety of different types, generally public schools, some charter schools. But the schools that we focus on are Title I schools, schools with high populations of free and reduced lunch. So we know that we are working with students in vulnerable communities, and then within those schools, we just name it. We tell them we want to support all of your kids, but we want to focus on your Black, Indigenous, and students of color, and we want you to focus on your female students as you are funneling the opportunities to us. That is a goal. Racial equity is a goal that we have in all things that we do, EcoRise, internally and externally, not just for this internship. And we have become very comfortable with just naming that this is who we are focusing on today, and that's okay. And that's what equity is clearing the space and making room for the people who have historically been in the back or off to the sides to be able to come forward. And it has worked for us so far. We do have a range of students, but we also, the communities that we are specifically in happen to also have, the cities that we're in and the urban environments that we have high populations of students of color who are hungry for these opportunities.
And I actually have a quick follow-up.
Yeah,
not to put you on the spot, but I recently have heard individuals of color who have gone through some internship-like programs that were specifically for students of color. Oh my gosh, I have 30 seconds, so never mind.
Type it in the chat feverishly.
Feverishly in the chat, but yeah, we do have to wrap up and we are going to get abruptly yanked back. But I do want to thank Brittany, Laura, Tammy very much for your time and kind of doing some thinking to help us organize some of our thoughts around this awareness space. And I think the bottom line is there's a lot of room for growth in terms of